Again, hope everybody's enjoying their Labor Day. 48 hours since the Alabama game, just looking back, obviously disappointed in the result, disappointed in our performance. Not at all discouraged in our football team, though. When you unpack the game, first you have to give credit to Alabama. They're in the 6 years that I've been here, they're by far the best football team that we've played, the most complete football team that we've played in my time here. The pathway to defeat them was pretty simple. We were going to have to do a lot better job stopping the run than we did a year ago, which I thought we did a better job of. We're not where we need to be yet, but we showed the improvement that I was pleased about. And we were going to have to get off the field on third down, and in those situations, force the quarterback to make mistakes to help out our offense. Offensively, it was going to be about getting our tempo going, putting snaps on their defense, trying to wear them down. We studied all the games where they've been beaten in the past, and there was a pretty common theme to those games. But again, that's a theme that most people know about and have a hard time executing. And I thought the third downs in the first half allowed them to control the game and kept our offense off the field. Offensively, we made some self-inflicted mistakes that hurt us, some drive killers that kept us from possessing the ball. But we knew it was going to be hard early on against their front. But again, like I said, their quarterback extending plays, making plays, I thought was the difference in the game. We got them in a third down and 5 or more 14 times, which if you had told me that before the game, I'd have thought that would have been a humongous advantage for us. We only won 4 of those 14. That to me is the story of the game. Defensively, like I mentioned, I do think our front improved from where we were. We still got a long ways to go, but I thought there were some encouraging signs. I saw a difference at linebacker with Flagg and Smith. I thought they showed up. I thought their speed and quickness showed up. In the back end, we have to improve our tackling. There were some critical missed tackles in the back end that helped create some explosive plays for them. But I was pleased with our effort. I thought our guys played hard from the beginning to the end of the game. Offensively, as I mentioned earlier, it was hard to get going. Once we did in the third quarter, we looked a little more like what we expected to look like. Obviously, we got down to the red zone 3 times and weren't able to come away with points down there, which was disappointing. I think once we got our offensive line stabilized, we were able to protect the quarterback a lot better. And I think the other encouraging thing was our wide receivers did make plays for Derek down the field. I thought we were much better at catching the football. We only had 1 drop on the day, and I thought we were dangerous on the outside lanes, which was a big point of emphasis for us in the offseason. And then, from a special team standpoint, we got the better of the punting game between our punter and their punter, and it was great to see Andreas make his first 2 field goals in that setting, and then we'll be able to go on from there. Moving on to App State, it's a program we have a lot of respect for. I think in the last 5 years, they've got the 5th highest winning percentage in college football, which means that they're used to winning. They expect to win, and they absolutely dominated East Carolina in their opener, and that was on Thursday, so they've had 2 more days to heal up from that game. Offensively, they're going to run the football, and they're going to run the outside zone. They do it really, really well. They've been in the top 10 in the country in rush offense almost every year. So it's going to be a great challenge for our run defense. And then obviously you got to be eye disciplined in the back end because they got every play action pass off of that. And then their defense, extraordinarily aggressive, based out of a 3 down front. They're going to be a blitz or movement on every play, very multiple with their coverages. They really, really got after East Carolina last week. And if you're not on the same page, can really present problems. So it's a really good football team. It'll be great to be in our stadium. Great to get in front of our fans. As I mentioned a couple of times, we probably have 40 or 50 players that really have not played at a true Miami home game, including Derek. So just to get those guys around our fans and Saturday night back at Hard Rock is something that we're all looking forward to and getting a big victory this weekend. So with that, I'll open up for questions.
But I was hoping you could sort of hone in a little more on specifically the offensive line. I know you changed the lineup at one point, any change maybe in the starting lineup, any thoughts looking at film on maybe what worked, what didn't work there?
Yeah, when Justice came in, we were a lot more stable in pass protection. I thought he acquitted himself very well against maybe the best defensive end in the country. We do have to remember who we were blocking. Again, if there's a better front forward, there may be a couple of teams that can match what they have. I don't think anybody can better what they have. And as I mentioned before the game, they've got twitchy defensive end type bodies. They've always been big and they bully up front, and now they can run around you. And obviously we had the strip sack on that play. So I do feel like we calmed down as the game went on. And when I say calm down, I mean we were able to calm down the pressure. I don't mean mentally we calmed down. We were able to calm the pressure down and give us a chance to execute some things down the field.
Manny, how difficult is it to be critical or be properly critical, might be the best way to put it, when you look at tape, knowing that you're not going to see another team as talented as Alabama, number one, and two, they're just, I mean, they're kind of in their own world. Like, how do you grade them as if you're playing a normal, really good college football team, because they just look like they're something else entirely?
The way you grade is you grade every individual performance, you grade it through every individual play. And like, I'll give you an example. I've talked about third down being so important in this game, is that, so there's a couple critical third downs. We're in man coverage. One time we're in coverage, we're supposed to be inside and underneath the route, right? And they've got some difficult routes to cover. They've got really, really difficult people to cover. And so in that setting, your technique has to be spot on. And we're not technically spot on. We're a little bit on top of the receiver. The receiver puts a foot in the ground, comes back, and the quarterback is flushed. The spy we have for him comes, hits him as he throws, makes a big time throw right on the money, complete first down, right on the sticks. That 10 other weeks of the year, that pass may be incomplete because of the level of execution, but that doesn't change the urgency of our technique being sound. And there are enough plays during the course of the game that, on either side of the ball or in kicking game, is that when everybody was doing their job the way it was meant to be done, there was a lot of really, really positive results in those plays. Certainly not enough to influence the game. But that, I think that's a lesson for all. The same thing with it could be calling plays as a coach, a player, it's everything, and that's why, to me, it's not, these games are, it comes off as like it's a miserable experience, and for sure it is, but there's a lot to be learned from being in these type of environments and these type of experiences to get us all better. Part of building this program to where we want it to go.
Hey, Coach, you had 8 months to prepare for the game. Just how do you explain getting down 27-0 in the second quarter?
Yeah, I think I just explained it, right? So, 8 months to prepare for the game, as you mentioned. The first two plays, first play they go nowhere. Second play, it's a long incomplete pass. Third down, it's Amari Carter comes through on a blitz, knocks the running back absolutely on his tail. Quarterback has pressure right in his face. Not a very tall guy. Hits a strike on the outside lane. Same thing. The receiver kind of pushes off, but we don't do a great job of driving out of the break, and it's completion. And those are the type of plays. That's just one example. But if we get off the field, if we come out of our break and bat that ball down, that's a 3 down to start. Everything else goes from there. So to me, 27-0 is a series of events that occurred. Now it looks like, non-competitive, not ready to play, or those type things. To me, it's a game, and there are football things that occur in a game, and that's the point. Is it's the competition and the execution is what they were able to do at a level that we couldn't match. They were going to be difficult to beat anyway. We had to win the critical situations. We had to win turnovers. We had to win explosives, and it went the other way, and that's why the score looked the way that it looked. One other point. Remember, they've been doing this to pretty much everybody. They won the national championship game by 30 points. They're really, you've got to do everything right to give yourself a chance to win. And by all means, we did enough wrong to put ourselves in a huge hole.
Hey, Manny, couple of things for you. Number one, injury wise, I know Mike Harley got knocked out. Just curious, how he's sort of recovering. How worried are you about having him, in the next couple of weeks or however long he might be out? And then Sam Brooks Jr., I know he was getting back into practice. Do you anticipate him being ready to play this week?
Sam probably is still a ways away. He had a little bit of a setback during training camp, so we're just trying to get him all the way right. It's been a series of just frustrating setbacks with Sam, and we just felt like that was the best thing. He was a little ahead of schedule when he came back in training camp. And then Mike, we'll have our staff meeting this afternoon, but the news was trending in the right direction positively for Mike. So I'll know more at 4:00 today, but it sounds like it's better than maybe we initially thought.
And then if I could, just one quick follow-up. I think Pro Football Focus had you guys down for 21 missed tackles. I know tackles in the opening game is always something that, you talk about tackling better. I guess, first of all, was it that bad from when you guys counted up the missed tackles? And is that something certainly you're addressing this week going into Appalachian State?
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a huge point of emphasis this week. We didn't have it. I don't know where they got 21. I don't know where they get most of their data at that place. But there's enough high profile misses that were very poor. And in the back end, they're going to be crucial because, like, as I mentioned, they led to explosive plays. There are a couple of players that had problems in particular. So again, we address that. That's part of addressing who plays, the amount of snaps that go. We've got to be a better tackling unit than we were, especially in the secondary. I will say this though, I mean, there were guys like I thought Gervin Hall tackled fantastic, and I do think in the front. I thought we tackled well. Their quarterback did a good job of getting out of some pressure early on, and even on some throwaways, not really missed tackle opportunities, but just sort of missed opportunities to get a guy on the ground with a sack.
Yeah, Coach, you just kind of hinted at it, but I wanted to ask you just about the pass rush, particularly from the defensive line. How do you feel like they did, understanding, the context of going up against Alabama's front and Bryce Young's elusive and all that, but how do you think they performed?
I thought, you're not going to see the sack metrics. What I felt like we got him off the spot, and I thought he made us pay when we did that. And as I mentioned, I thought that was a huge difference in the game. So I thought our defensive line, we rotated the 8 guys. I thought all those guys played extremely hard. I thought all those guys competed. We did create pressures on the quarterback. Had a near safety on that one. So. I think the pass rush and the sack totals will continue to improve. Obviously, they got to a point in the game where they didn't have to expose the quarterback to pass rush and a lot of the quick RPO throws. We didn't match up on the RPO throws through the course of the game as well as we should have, and that allowed them to get some easy offense out there, which is basically just their run game. Like I said, I like where we're at. I like the intelligence of our defensive line, and I think that's going to continue to grow and improve all year.
Hey, Manny. Just some thoughts on Derek King and, especially with the big knee injury coming into the season, how is that doing right now? Soreness or what have you? And also I wanted to ask about the Bubba Bolden play, how disappointing that was. And I had one other follow.
Derek, I thought Derek was brave, and just seeing him pregame warmups, was emotional just to know everything he had gone through to put himself back in that situation. It was going to be a hard day for the quarterback. It always is. It's going to be a hard day for the next 11 quarterbacks that have to play against those guys. And I thought Derek stood in there. I thought he was tough. And again, I thought he made some really good throws as we got going on offense and we started to protect him better.
His knee, how is he physically now?
He's fine. He's sore, like what you would expect, but Derek's a warrior. Okay, yeah, Bubba, it was a disappointing play. Certainly, we don't want anyone to drop their eyes and hit with the top of their helmet, which is the way that it presented, and that's what the officials saw. He is lowering his target, though, because the running back is also lowering his head, and he's lowering his target. And when an offensive player does that, there's very few things for a defensive player to hit. And as the natural instinct is to get lower, right? Because you have to tackle low, you got to tackle around the legs. When an offensive player is only 3 feet off the ground, there's not a lot to hit. And the human instinct is when I want to go lower to hit something, I've got to bend my knees, but even bending my knees is going to cause the top of my head to get exposed to the runner. It is a play where I've been saying this, you've heard me say this for a while, is that I don't think that play is worthy of a disqualification. We can have that be a foul in the game, and that can be worth 15 yards. To discourage the behavior, that shouldn't be a disqualification. There's not another sport that where that is. The plays we've tried to take out of the game by the letter of the targeting law. I think we've done that. I think we've made the game a safer game. But those are the rules. They enforce it the way that the law is written. And then to your point, Cam Kitchens came in, James Williams came in. And I thought both those guys for that environment put themselves very well. I thought James was very relaxed and played fast. Of course, there's going to be some technique things and some alignment things that they got wrong. But I think both those guys for being in that setting and considering opponent and who they were playing, I thought they both showed really well, and they'll continue to feature as the year goes on.